Thousands of people come to Andalusia every year, but most of them miss out on truly experiencing the culture, the people, and the heritage that is within Andalusia. So if you don't want to be one of those people, then make sure you continue watching this video all the way to the end so that you can learn about how to truly experience the culture in the south of Spain. Hi, my name is Kirsten. I've been living in Spain for about 7 years, and most of my time here has been spent in Andalusia, particularly Jaén, which is the region that I live in the south of Spain. And I've gotten to know the region. I'm still exploring this region. There's still so much that I'm learning and finding out, and places that I haven't been yet. But from what I know from my experience, I want to share how to really integrate yourself a little bit more into the culture and the way of life in Andalusia, whether you're visiting, whether you're planning to move here, whether you're just curious about the region as well, or curious about different lifestyles. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 ways to really take advantage of visiting Andalusia. And on my channel, I like to talk about what it's like living in Spain. I like to share the positives, the negatives, the random, the joys, the highs and the lows. I also like to talk about freelancing while living abroad and managing your money while living abroad. And if any of those things interest you, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every week, and give this video a like if it comes across interesting to you. Okay, so this is something that is kind of surprising that actually surprised me when I first moved here to Spain. And even though Lucia is world renowned for flamenco, not everyone is a fan, and flamenco isn't prevalent in every single place in Andalusia. I remember my first year in Spain when I was working as a language assistant, and I was in the back seat of the car of my supervisor at the school that I was working with, and they were kind of like asking me, how I was getting along, what I think about Andalusia in particular. And they asked me, they're like, "Oh, are you a fan of flamenco?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, like I'm still learning about it." And this is actually before I started taking flamenco classes. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm curious about it. Like I don't know that much about it, but yeah, I like overall I'm pretty interested in it." And I was like, "Oh, what about you? Like, do you guys like flamenco?" And they straight out said no. They're like, "No, that's we're not really into it. It's not really our thing." And it wasn't just them. Like I definitely have met various people that, even though they might have grown up around in the culture of flamenco, or next to the culture of flamenco, barrios or neighborhoods that are very prevalent with flamenco, not everyone's a fan. And I think that's totally okay and normal, but it's something to keep in mind. However, there are so many places in Andalusia to experience authentic flamenco, and flamenco is very different based on the region. So flamenco here in Jaén is different than flamenco you might experience in Granada, and flamenco Granada is different than flamenco you might experience in Cádiz. So if you come with that expectation, just make sure you remember that it's not something that is prevalent or practiced in every part of Andalusia. So another thing that I think many people miss out on when they come to visit Andalusia is a lot of people go for the beaches, because we have beautiful, clean, beautiful, beautiful and clean beaches. We have the Mediterranean Sea, and then we also have the Atlantic Ocean if you go towards like Cadiz, places like Cadiz. So obviously, like I'm a big beach person, and I one of the reasons why I love living in Andalusia is for the beaches. But besides the beaches, in the interior, have beautiful natural parks. There's a desert. I think Almeria has like the only desert in Spain. There are mountain ranges, there are beautiful places to hike, there are waterfalls, there are lakes, there are so definitely places like Casola in Jaén is definitely a great place to experience Spain. Yeah, experience the interior of the region. I think if I'm not if not incorrect, I think Casola has it has like a UNESCO or one of the largest natural parks in the area. And so, yeah. Another mistake I think that people make is the way that they travel through Andalusia. And I get it because, especially if you're an American coming to visit Spain, you are coming from very far places. So you might want to have a very packed itinerary, trying to, go through as much cities as you can in a week, 2 weeks. However, within that busy schedule, I would suggest just taking an afternoon, a day, however your time frame allows you to, and pick a restaurant with a terrace, grab a caña or cerveza, a beer, or tinto de verano, a refresco, a Pepsi, a Coke, or whatever, and just sit and on the terrace in the sun, under the sun, with a fan abanico, and people watch and just sit and enjoy this slower pace of life and just watching the people around you, feeling the energy of the people around you. I think that's one of the best things I really or one of the best things about Andalusia is the way of life is this kind of more relaxed, like live in the moment type of lifestyle. So, people, if you have this like sit on a terrace with a drink experience, you're going to see how people are interacting with each other. You're going to hear laughter. You're going to kind of feel like you're a part of something, a part of the vibe of the city because you're not in this like go, go, go mode. Okay. To tag on to the advice that I just gave about sitting on a terrace, I would definitely suggest doing this in the beginning of summer or spring or fall. Because if you try to do this in summer, it still definitely can be done in summer, but a lot of people I think underestimate just how hot it gets in Andalusia. Like it gets 90, like for Americans or people in the US from the US that are accustomed to Fahrenheit, temperatures can get up to like high 90s and even the hundreds. For people on Celsius, we get like 35 degrees Celsius and up, sometimes in the 40s. So it can get really hot, especially if you come in like July and August. Those are like more the hotter months. So, and not every place will have AC. Not every restaurant, not every Airbnb, not every hostel will have AC. A lot of places are incorporating it more, but um, being outside, if you do come through to visit Andalusia during the summer months, like it's totally acceptable, but you're going to have to plan your day kind of around doing things outside in the morning and doing things outside late at night, because if you try to kind of walk around during the day, you're going to be sweating through your clothes. Another thing to experience while you're in Andalusia is to research and check out local festivals. There are so many different festivals that happen, especially in small towns and pueblos, but even regional. We have something called feria, which are these kind of city festivals, town festivals that happen every year. And every festival, every feria looks different. The feria in Sevilla is different than the feria in Granada or Jaén. So if you happen, like whatever your travel dates are, or whatever time you're going to be in Andalusia, really looking up what festivals are happening, because then you get to really experience a different side of then you really get to experience like what the locals experience and how they celebrate and how they in their traditions and their celebrations. So really looking up feria or local festivals in addition to checking out local festivals. I also recommend trying local dishes. I think that I did another video on different local dishes and that you can try in different regions of Spain, but really trying to look up what certain cities are known for. For example, like Cordoba is known for their salmorejo. So, whatever region or whatever city, whatever town you're visiting, kind of looking up or asking what their local dishes are, or what you maybe even asking your waiter what they recommend. And one of the ways to find out about local dishes and local festivals is, besides doing your research, which is always important to do your research, but another way to find out about local experiences is just by talking to the people. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm visiting any place, and even something that I still do today, is going to a market, going to a local market, because not only are you going to find really great produce, really great products, really great food products, you're also just going to meet very friendly people that are going to want to talk with you if you ask them questions, if you ask them about, like, I love, going to a fruit stand and finding a random fruit that I haven't seen before and asking them, like, oh, what is this fruit called? Or, what does this fruit taste like? And just asking people questions and talking to people, whether it's people at a market, your waiter, talking, just, saying, I think one thing about Andalusia, in most places, like, people are very friendly. So when you walk into a store, or when you're passing someone on the street, if you're like walking in a neighborhood, saying hola, or saying buenas, or buenos dias, or buenas tardes, whatever part of the day it is, having these like this little human to human friendly interactions is something that is so a part of what makes Andalusia Andalusia. So I think that if you want to kind of blend in, if you want to get to know people, don't be afraid, especially if you're learning Spanish. Don't be afraid to talk to people, even if your Spanish isn't like super advanced. I, in my experience, as my Spanish is constantly growing and developing, I have had 99% of the time positive experience with people. Even if they didn't understand me, even if I didn't understand them, there was still a positive reaction, and there was still this appreciation of, like, we're trying to communicate with each other. Sometimes just hearing my accent just can be a little bit confusing. Or if I the same if I were to go to like the south of the US and hear someone speaking in a very southern accent, like, it would probably take me a little while to really fully understand what they're saying. Same thing can happen here in Spain. But what I really appreciate about Spain, I remember when I had made a stop at a rest stop when I was taking a bus. We usually, for long journeys, buses will stop at different rest stops. I remember I had brought my food with me, or I don't know if I brought my food with me, if I had ordered it there, but I had asked for a fork. And I remember going up to the counter and I was like, oh, can I have a fork, essentially? And he didn't understand the way that I was pronouncing fork, or tenedor. And I remember him, I remember the person saying, like, perdona, perdona, like asking me a couple of times, like, because he couldn't quite make out what I was saying. And then other people started coming in, and he's like, un momento. And he went to go help the other people. And then he came back and he's like, dime, ¿qué necesitas? Like, what do you need? Um, and it was just really nice that he was, and eventually we figured it out. Eventually, he understood that I wanted a fork. But I just thought that it was really nice that he, uh, stood there for, was with me in that moment of like trying to figure it out. Like, he wasn't some, like, oh, he could have just easily brushed me off and said, like, oh, I have customers, I'm busy. He went, helped the other customers, came back and was like, all right, let's figure this out. And that's been, um, and I've had similar experiences like that, of just like, we're in this moment together and we're communicating, and we might get into like a little trouble with understanding each other, but it's okay because we're going to figure it out. The last tip that I'll share is to take a tour. Oh, I have hair on me. Yes, so taking, whether it's a food tour or whether it's one of those like free walking tours. I think taking a tour of the city in some way, shape, or form is a way to not only learn about the history of a place, but it's also a way to learn about the best restaurants to go to. It's a way to learn about the local culture and the traditions and the local customs. It's a way to meet new people. So I think even though it's really easy to kind of plan out your own experience, we have so many, we have AI, we have apps, we have guidebooks, we have so many ways to kind of plan your own experience. But I think taking a tour and learning from local people, local guides, local experts is definitely a way to not only learn more, but really just really give you a different perspective on the region that you're visiting. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you're coming to Andalusia, let me know what cities you plan on visiting in the comments. And if you live in Andalusia, let me know what are some of your favorite things about living in this region.